Hey, it's Kyle Meredith, and today I'm talking with Magna Carda. Their brand new record called Coffee Table Talk Volume 1 just recently got released. We got to talk about the themes and the sounds that make up that EP, as well as representing their studio work in their near-legendary live shows. There's also some talk of going back to the roots in New Orleans and Water Magazine, and also their thoughts on Kendrick Lamar winning the Pulitzer Prize and what it means for hip-hop. Kyle Meredith with Magna Carda.
Hey.
We'll mention the show here. April 29th, you're going to be playing Rockwood Music Hall. That's going to be broadcast in Endless Riff. And you got the new record. You always seem to have a new record, but the latest one, Coffee Table Talk Volume 1. What's the concept here? Because I feel like there probably is a concept with this EP.
Yeah, the concept with the EP and kind of putting out the little volumes of the coffee table mixes, it's just kind of like exercises for us. We like to stay fresh, stay current. And Coffee Table Talk, specifically, the content is surrounded around, things that conversations you'd have at the coffee table. They're casual, they're real, they're meaningful. So the whole idea behind them or behind the tapes were to put out conversation starters, things where, we can bring something to the table, we can have a talk about it.
So I'll dive in further then. What are the specific themes that sort of rattle around in this one?
For this one, it's a lot of speaking about education, speaking about our current challenges in society, things that, we're seeing right now happening, unfolding, a lot of social issues. So that's kind of like the big talk and things that we felt that we had to start conversation or start dialogue around. And it's important for us in our music to be intentional. And so that was a lot of what we were talking about and reaching our audience with, trying to be relatable and trying to kind of start those conversations surrounded around, things happening in society today, just being in America, being a person of color, a woman of color, a Black woman in America, or being, where we're from in Austin, where there's a huge Latinx population, what does that look like? So just having these different conversations, and even in other issues or volumes that we haven't really released yet, we're also touching on those topics.
There's also sort of a sound that goes along with this one, or at least it sounds like to me like, it's probably low-hanging fruit to bring up, 1995, but when I listen to that song, it has all the sounds of that year within that. I didn't know if that was intentional.
It was intentional from the jump. Megs and I kind of talked about doing more of a soulful feeling behind kind of the topics she wanted to talk about. So from the jump, we had just kind of gathered samples, but like specifically 1995 is a Bill Withers Imagination sample. So we pretty much had an idea from the jump, but it turned out more soulful than our other stuff. So it turned out pretty cool.
And Magna Carda, you're known as much for, the live show as the studio, talking about, going into that with the sound and the sampling. Do you attack the songs differently for each setting, live versus studio?
Yeah, I think we kind of split both ways on the live and studio setting. I think for the studio stuff, we can all prepare more, and then we don't really waste time when we go in. But for the live show, you can work on a song as much as you want, and you can't really tell what's going to happen until you play it in front of people. So sometimes it's like a bust, and then we'll run back and we're like, oh, we got to fix all this, and this. But for the studio stuff, it's just endless, like editing. But I think the difference with that is you have to eventually let it go from yourself. But the live stuff, you could just keep working on. And it's always fun to keep going back to other songs and kind of editing stuff.
Yeah, we tackle them all differently. We don't usually play the studio stuff the exact same way as we would the live, so it's always something different as well.
There's something interesting about you guys too, because I don't know, when you get different genres, hip hop, rap, pop especially, you have an artist and you'll work with several different producers. You keep it self-contained, right? This is like basically a collaboration between two songwriters, or at least the band. How does that work?
Yeah, we keep everything in house, and just recently we've even extended that to like our process of mixing and getting all of our edits done in house as well. And it just allows us to be kind of more hands-on. And collaborative in a way that a lot of other artists don't get to be. Sometimes, from my previous experience, you're just getting a beat. Sometimes you don't even really know this person or kind of know their journey, their musical journey, or how they work and stuff like that. And sometimes details like that, they're important, and that's one of the things that we honed in a lot on over the years, is just kind of really getting to know each other and really getting to know this sound. And it's allowed us to kind of be unique in a way that a lot of other musicians, they actually want to. Like, from my talks with musicians, they love to have, these intimate relationships with producers where they can create, endlessly like that. So it's really special to be able to have something like that where everything can be in-house. Everyone knows each other. We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we know everyone's vibe, where they come from musically, what's their musical background, whether it be jazz or R&B or rap, So it's pretty cool that we have this kind of unique approach.
Megs, you've got your background in New Orleans, too. With all the tradition it's known for, does any of the usual characteristics crop up?
Yeah, well, just recently, content-wise, I've been looking back a lot to my roots in the past and kind of where I come from, because, being separated from that at I was pretty much 12 or 13 when I moved, so it was a lot of things I feel like I missed or didn't really investigate. So going back to that and expressing that through music has been really cool and unique. And also musically, just being from a culture where, seeing live instruments on the street was an everyday thing for me. So it was just natural to fall back into that with the band and working with them now, and pulling elements from that has just kind of been like this natural thing.
Well, while I've got you, while we're on the subject of you, Megs, I'd also bring up Water Magazine. That's something. Is that yours or just something you're involved with?
That's actually mine. I founded it and I'm producing it from the ground up. So that's been a pretty cool process. Something I've never done before.
What's the focus of that one?
So this, the focus of this is, it's my first literary project. I'm an English writing and rhetoric major. And so one of the things that was really important to me outside of music was to write in these other ways. And so this is my first literary journal, and it's composed with a lot of great artists, a lot of great visual artists. It's aimed for Black creators to be able to express themselves and have this space where they can preserve their literature, preserve their history, and preserve their creativity. So it's just been a wild ride, but it's been very fun, very fulfilling, and really cool to just see all this art that's out there, and also to just see so many people gravitating to it and needing this space. So it's pretty cool. It's been a really cool process to just kind of get to know a different lane, because I've been in music for so long, and writing and music specifically. So now I'm trying to branch out and explore like my strengths with writing in other places.
I'll use this kind of as a tie-in. Kendrick Lamar winning the Pulitzer, which seemed to catch everybody off guard. Do you think that means anything specific for the genre?
I think it definitely does mean something for the genre, because I think what happens a lot with hip hop is people kind of miss why hip hop was why it was even created. It's this form of expression that's super unique to America and unique to a very specific American experience, birthed out of a lot of pain and a lot of struggle. And like the same way we look at other authors, other people who kind of really shaped the literary world and were able to really express themselves through writing, to finally be able to recognize hip hop as one of those vehicles for that. And that is a very real vehicle for getting that out and expressing ourselves and expressing our stories and experiences. It's just really fulfilling to see that people are finally seeing what hip hop was all along. It is poetry, it is literature, it's this contemporary art that it's really important. And if people kind of looked at it more like that, they would see exactly what it has to offer and exactly how deep it really goes, because it's not just like, oh, you just hear violence. There's a story behind that violence, and that's kind of the thing that needs to be investigated, not necessarily this reaction or this outcome, but what were the social circumstances surrounding around this community and why these people need to express this in that way in the first place. So I think it's very important to kind of start holding hip hop to that degree and seeing how important it really is to this to the literary community, and also just expressive culture.
So after Coffee Table Talk Volume 1, I'm guessing there's a Volume 2. Is that the next on the plate, or do you have something else planned?
Yeah, we have that on the plate. We have our EP coming out soon. We have another single coming out soon. So this is a pretty good time for Magna, because we're pretty much building the back end of our like archives right now to just kind of freely put out music when we feel like it in our terms. So this is definitely an exciting time, and Coffee Table Talk 2 will be coming out very, very soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for taking the time to give me the call today. I know you're out there on the road, so really appreciate it. And again, I'll mention April 29th at Rockwood and inside Endless Riff. Thank you both.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it for having us.
All right. It was a pleasure. We'll see you around.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
All right. Bye.
Have a good day.